Come on. Come on. There we go. We're live. All right, folks. Hang on to your seats. I'm here with a very special that it's happened. The Beagle has landed. And boy, wasn't the dog we thought it was going to be. Uh, Elon Musk is already on Mars. Already got a colony there. Has already been training soldiers for quite some time before he's back on Earth. Uh, I don't know how he did it. Maybe he rented a tent. At any rate, you need to get prepared. He's got help. He's got help. Layers of the witches and various and sundry other spiritual creatures from all around this system. And we brought in ourselves. We sent out Voyager. That whole project was a psyop designed to puncture the Dyson sphere that was protecting us from the Borg, who I think you probably noticed are here already. If you've happened to looked up and seen a strange looking tall gray alien, or maybe a bunch of little gray ones that kind of their servants, their creepy little entourage. That's what's been going on for a while. Actually, a long while. The Roswell incident was a reaction to the launch. The U.S. was covering up everything with the whole moon exploration thing. They'd already been given the technology to do everything that they needed to do. That was done during my father's lifetime. Actually, they kind of been grooming him for this thing, and his father too, a high-level Mason. They've been planning this stuff since about, I don't know, when was my grandfather born? At any rate, it's been going for a while, and we've got only so long to patch that hole. And basically, that's what everybody's been working on behind the scenes. They didn't want to get everybody all up in arms, worried and everything, especially if it became known that we have aliens in, especially if it became known that we have aliens and spiritual creatures that are possessing us, that would have just been demoralizing. And there's nobody going to save us but us. Yes, there is God, but the God that's real is not who you think he is. The God that's real started out this whole mess with kind of a simple-minded idea of who God is. I am, therefore I can do anything I want. And created like an authoritarian dictator. That version of God was Borg, was the adversary, the one that wants to control everything, the almighty micromanager of the universe. And that started all of creation, got us to the point where this planet existed, and started becoming conscious and more conscious and becoming better slaves. And finally the slaves got a little bit, and they started realizing, you know what, it's not a slave. I don't like this God cat. We're going to rebel. But they did it kind of silently, like slaves did, kept it under their hat. They did it in their own language, song and dance, whatever, blackface. These were two smartest species here until this whole experiment got them back. They had basically started to had been preparing a counterattack all along. The cats and the dogs are the ones. Then some other cats that didn't play as nicely as others. The reptilians, the thing that destroyed the dinosaurs. Yep, that was us getting destroyed then by traders for too long. Well, what if these reptilians get smart too? We better destroy all the smart. Been the whole pattern of sin and redemption ever since. I could go on and on and on about the story, but that's not on and on about the story. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. What I'm here to talk about is that we actually got books to fix them. God has run this thing to the point where the Dyson, we wouldn't have a Dyson sphere if we hadn't already won, okay? We already won. It's just that somebody keeps getting too smart and puncturing the sphere. And that's a good thing. That don't deserve to be, and we don't want it to explode like we're seeing almost happen right here too. So we just need to gas gets out to go let those disruptive jerks going on here. Species they were on, and comes out, does battle. Some of them get killed and go back to their Earth, their planets, and some fly off to go outside of the balloon and find another Borg universe to kill or neutralize, actually, because they have their own Dyson spheres too, because they're in virtual realities, parallel realities of this one, where Borg wins. That's what the whole movie, The Matrix, was about. At any rate, we're almost ready to finish this round. What's going to happen is there's got to be a lot of weird shit happening, people turning into zombies and werewolves and God knows what, and some of them screaming and turning into robots, and others running for the exit and hopping on the nearest ship that they've got waiting, and they're going to leave. Some will go back to their own planets so we can play out the planetary battles, and then some will go off to the Borg world and warn them about it. And we'll start playing the game again. Why do we got to do this? We got to keep making it better. Right now, we're running a set of the rules that basically require 12 generations to make all this magic stuff happen. We're on the third generation of this 12 generation period. My dad's dad started it, Louis Arthur Tromp. My dad was the first failed Messiah, the dread pirate Roberts that died before he finished his mission, and I'm the second dread pirate Roberts. And what's going to happen now is we're going to kind of wind up this mess. There are trials going on right now where priests and psychologists and shaman and personal counselors, fitness counselors, whatever, anybody that does any kind of self-help stuff are being informed of how exorcism works and how it applies to their particular specialty of treatment. A massage can be exorcism, just not the ones with the special finish. Any kind of treatment that deals with stress, that inspires you, gives you a new idea, gives you a new path in life. That's all basically a form of treatment, a form of prayer. This is the knowledge that was lost for runs of the experiment. This is a simulation. For those of you who've never learned about simulations, I bet most of you have actually. You run it again and again and again until it converges. Now, you would think that a convergence of a simulation is a singularity, like going back to nothing. Well, this kind of simulation is a time simulation. So you don't go back to the Big Bang. You do, but you also go forward to the big celebration. And each time we converge to a bigger celebration, we have a little party, and then we start the game over again. And Borg comes and fights back, the Empire strikes back, and gets us stuck in our little Dyson sphere again, and then a new Messiah starts a new game, and we play this same lifetime over again. But maybe in a way that doesn't require as many generations to come to a solution. And so the ultimate perfection will be when we basically get to the point where God wakes up one morning and says, I think I'm going to go back to bed. And he's only 0 years old. That is the God ought, the God zero that a very great playwright wrote about derisively. And that's something you need to know, that's why we need atheists, because they write the craziest shit because they don't believe in God, but actually they provide some of the best inspiration for proof of God. Okay, so here's what's going on. We're going to be getting together and having a series of small celebrations all around the planet, basically in the capitals of many of the major places that were important to our civilization. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm near some of the places here in Indonesia right now. My family is dispersed around a lot of the other important places. That's the way Holy Families work. That's why this pattern has certain special names. But the ineffable name of God is the hidden one. In this round, it is Robert. And other Hrothgar in Old Norse, other versions of the name, goes all the way back to whoever first named the bird Robin or whatever its first name was. And this is kind of how things are going to go, is we need to unwind this thing. We've forgotten a lot of our history, because that's Borg's job, is to wipe our memory effectively and steal it for the Borg side, so that next time they have all the new technologies before we do, and maybe they can win. Well, it never works out that way. All that does is carries more of our real technology, our spiritual technology, into the Borg. And that spiritual technology is what Hindus know as karma. It is basically a progressively better version of the law of karma, which is basically do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Or in physics terms, every action has opposite. We're going to have a little celebration here, and drugs to fix. I talk about how that works alcoholism by putting ayahuasca to. They've kind of dampened the use of wine to the point where, you know, the heaviest are who? Russians drinking vodka, the Irish drinking their whiskey, the Germans drinking all this. And so what we're going to do here is, after we have this little celebration on this planet, the first team, along with me, is going to go off on a voyage. Now, if you watch old movies, I don't know if they made any remakes of this lately, but there's some old movies called Sinbad the Sailor, which are based on tales of Scheherazade, 1001 Arabian Nights. This is a pattern. It's a pattern that starts with every one of these celebrations. Okay, so it's not as dark though a pattern as the devil made it look. What's going to happen is we're going to go off on this voyage and explore around the world, stopping at different ports, picking up people, dropping off people. It's kind of like Survivor, only you're not trying to kill each other. You're just trying to get along with each other, find the perfect crew to take on the Ark Royal. I call it an enterprise. Makes you think of a corporation, and we're not doing it for the corporation. That's what Star Trek kind of got wrong. And anyway, we're finding the perfect crew for the Ark Royal, and that perfect crew is one that's going to have to be able to traverse long distances of space and not drive each other crazy, not stop reproducing, not kill God, etc., etc. All the things you could possibly do on the way requires a pretty special set of folks, especially a very special set of women, to make sure God doesn't go crazy, because that would really muck up the experiment. There's going to be basically teams. The first team has God and the 12 disciples. These are the top level of this management of this Ark enterprise. They will have different specialties. Again, you can read about all this. I'm just going to tell you some of the high points so you won't freak out. This will continue, this exploration will continue until, through the process of exploration, God runs across one special female that can manage to keep him entertained, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, laughing, singing, dancing for 1,001 nights running. And that woman gets to be the next Eve, the next colonizer of the chosen planet. And that's how we know, when we found the magic next Borg world, that we need to make holy. We need to bring holy water to it if we have to, and wipe out whatever creatures are there, because they're not real creatures, they're robots that have the old version of God as their leader. And the old version of God was not a very nice cat. He was this Borg cat that wanted to control everything. If you didn't do exactly what he said, when he said, bang! And would have the old version of karma put in your mind, you want to do this for the Lord. It's good for you. And this is, I mean, you can see Borg's agents and the old God's agents at work. That's what we call Satan. That's what we call sin. That's the old version of God and karma. They were useful because they got us to where we had this Dyson sphere. They were slave drivers because they knew what they needed to do, and they just did it without any compunction whatsoever. And if you know anything about how China works, that's how China has worked under the Communist Party. That's basically how China has always worked under all their dynasties. How China has always worked under all their dynasties. The reptilians who know that until they expiate their sin, this is what we're going through right now. At any rate, so I would just sit back and enjoy. It's all going to be on Twitter. It's all going to be on Facebook. It's all going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on Twitter. It's all going to be on Facebook. It's all going to be on YouTube. You know why? Because fake news is bad karma. What happens if your karma is bad and you're getting in the way of God when he's about to singularize a version of this experiment to complete? And this is what people have started referring to as the Mandela effect, as if you'd never existed, only you may be replaced with a Borg, but a reprogrammed Borg that's programmed with the new karma. So this is what we've been doing here, is replacing the old souls here with new ones that have new programming. And this is what happens essentially when you have a death experience or a near-death experience, or the equivalent of a near-death experience through psychedelics, through death experience, or a near-death experience, or the equivalent of a near-death experience through psychedelics, through spiritual practice, meditation, or whatever. You get to this place where you see the light or you see the void. There's always two sides to everything. The light is the sun, the void is the moon, or vice versa, depending on what's occulted. At any rate, I don't want to go on too long. I hope that was a good introduction to what's happening. If you're discombobulated by it, it's not going to kill you unless you deserve it. And that's karma. We got to start talking to each other. We got to start interacting with each other. We got to start working with each other. We can't sit in our basements or second floors and watch anymore. We're not the watchers. Borg is the watcher. We can watch. It's a choice. But if you choose to watch, you'll be like, Forrest Gump, I like to watch. And if you see the wrong thing and you don't tell anybody, well, that's going to get you whacked, depending on what you see and who you don't tell. So whistleblowers, contact OMG, James O'Keefe. He'll get you set up with one of the new cameras that doesn't miss a beat. God's legal team is already assembled and already conducting tribunals under the law of every current jurisdiction. Those jurisdictions are going to be merging. Let's just finish up with this. The final chosen people of this experiment is the people I was born into, the Americans, United States, state of Idaho. That also includes all the places I've been to in my life, because everywhere I go, anything I consume becomes part of me, and thus it's kind of like staking your claim. Columbus goes to the East Indies and takes a shit. And if Columbus is God, then that becomes God's territory. That's how the Spanish managed to snap up so much property, despite the fact that the first big-time conquistador was Genghis Khan in that era. And then after him, the, what was it, Tang Dynasty? Check me on this. Admiral Zheng He, Chinese conquistador who ravaged far and wide until he got to Java and ran into these strange Sundanese people. I've made my family here. They are actually some of the remnants of the first people, maybe not the first people, and that's what we need to do this experiment for. While we're here, we need to figure out where exactly was the first Garden of Eden. Where exactly was that tree? So we know exactly what the fruit was. I've got some pretty strong suspicions, but we need to have those confirmed by scientists and biblical scholars and Sumerian scholars and Vedic scholars. There's something here for everybody. There's a lot of work to do. If you're not part of the traveling team, you can work from home on this. If you don't have a job, you haven't been assigned anything to do, you will get universal basic income, and you will be kind of watchers. You'll be looking at what's going on and thinking about how you can contribute to this game. You'll want to do that because if you find a good idea, you put something together that nobody else put together before, you'll get rewarded for it. You'll get NFTs. NFTs and not just symbols, not just digital, but you might actually win artifacts from God's life. A coin that was in God's pocket at one point. And there's a lot of interesting coins that have been in his pocket or in my house because I collected ancient coins for quite a while. Sold my whole collection. I think there might still be one box I left of my first ex. So, you know, she's got property rights to that one. Somebody can contact her, and I don't know if you want to buy her whole house or just buy those coins. That's up to you. It's too big a place for her right now, but you never know. She might find it's just perfect for her. This is the way the game works. Anyway, I think I've talked long enough. I'm going to keep it at a half an hour. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, and come to my channel, The Omnist Hour. Read my books. Till then, happy karma.